All right, our objective today is to explain fraction equivalence using a tape diagram and a number line, and to relate that to the use of multiplication and division. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use a tape diagram. So I want you to draw a tape diagram to show one whole, but I want you to cut it in half. Just one half. So draw a tape, not an area, and cut it in half. Pause. Here's what you should have, and mine is not perfect, and yours probably isn't either. I would like you to shade one half and then cut your whole into fourths. Pause while you do this. How many fourths are shaded? Well, if you said 2, you are correct. 2 fourths are shaded. So if we say 1/2 equals 2 fourths, how did I get there? Can you write me an equation to show how I made it there? Pause while you do it. This is what you should have come up with. We multiplied times 2. We had 1/2, and then we divided each half into 2 sections. Times 2. So I have 2 fourths. All right, next thing I'm going to ask you to do is now decompose the fourths, but this time decompose them into eighths. So I had 4 pieces, now turn them into eighths. Pause. So we had 1/2, we had 2 fourths. Now how many eighths are shaded in? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this also equals 4 eighths. Now we're going to prove this. So I want you to either write a multiplication sentence to get from 1/2 to 4 eighths, or to get from 2 fourths to 4 eighths. I don't care which path you choose, but you must use multiplication to get from point A to point B. Pause while you do it. This is likely what you should have had. 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 4 is 8, or 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. What I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to take a ruler and draw a number line a little bit longer than your tape diagram. Just a hair longer. So I'm going to do mine down below. Pause while you do it. You're going to label your start 0, just kind of mashed up with the beginning of that, and your end is going to be 1. If you want to, you can use your ruler to match it, or a pencil or something, so you can match up to make sure you're pretty close. So what we're going to do now is we're going to label half on the number line. Well, here was half on my tape model, so I'm going right here halfway on my number line. So if that's 1/2, we're going to decompose the number line into fourths. So this is showing halves. Let's now make the number line, just like a tape model, into fourths, between 0 and 1. Done. Fourths. So what is equivalent to 2 fourths on the number line? Well, let's go ahead and write it out. 1/4, 2 fourths, 3 fourths, 4 fourths. So it looks to me like 2 fourths is the same as a half. I hope that's what you got as well. Now what we're going to do is we're going to decompose the number line from 0 to 1 into eighths. Just like we would do on a tape model, we're just going to cut between each fourth one last time. And we can go ahead and write that. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. You know if you have the same number on top as bottom, it's always equal to 1. So what is 4/8 equal to? Well, it's equal to a half. We proved it up here, and we proved it down here. These three fractions are all equivalent. And if you look at them, they all are showing that the numerator is half the denominator. Numerator, half the denominator. Numerator, half the denominator. Hopefully you noticed that our number line went from very big, one large piece, to all of a sudden cutting it into smaller chunks, just like you would share maybe a candy bar. All right, go ahead and draw yourself another number line. Don't draw it too big, but just draw it big enough so that you're comfortable. Pause. Of course, you want to label your endpoints, 0 and 1. And this time, I want you to cut this number line into thirds. Imagine it's a fraction strip, or a tape model, or an area model. Cut it into 3 equal pieces, as best you can. So this 0 is 0 out of 3 pieces. And this 1 is 3 out of 3 pieces. What would this be? I agree. What would this be? I agree as well. What you're going to do is I want you to write a number sentence. No, before you write your number sentence, can you decompose just one part into fourths? Not all of it, just one part into fourths. Please pause while you decompose one part into fourths. If you decompose just this one part into fourths, how many pieces would I have if I decomposed all of it into fourths? Go ahead and count it. 4, 8, 12. That's if I cut them all. When you cut a piece, you want to cut it all the same, but I don't need you to waste time drawing little lines. So we would have 12 total pieces. I want you to tell me how many twelfths are equivalent to 1/3. How many twelfths are equivalent to 1/3? Use multiplication to help you. Go ahead and pause. Hopefully you looked at the bottom first and said 3 times what gives me 12? Oh, 4. What I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. 1 times 4 is 4. Then I checked it. 1/12, 2/12, 3/12, 4/12, because this would be 0/12. Nicely done. This time I want you to go backwards. I want you to use division to break down this problem. How do I get from 4/12 to 1/3? By using division, getting bigger pieces. So why does 4/12 equal 1/3? Can you prove